being a live line for the benefit of people who aren't Brits. One of the
Yeah.
most famous pitches of all time was, I think it was Alan Brady and Marsh pitching for British Rail, where they just left the board of British Rail sitting in a basically with a rude receptionist in a reception room full of overfilled ashtrays with kind of half full coffee cups. And they were on the point of walking out in disgust at the way they were being treated when they came out and effectively said, now you know how your customers feel. In other words, it was an absolutely potent theatrical stunt. Alan Brady and Marsh were a weird agency because two of the founders came from theatre land. And so they took the skills of kind of theatre right into pitch theatre.
Yeah, smart. Good question here from David. David says, hi, Rory. We've been following Alex Hormozi's work, especially from an outbound perspective. He talks a lot about lead magnets. Do you have any great examples of lead magnets or any advice on how behavioral science can be applied?
That's a good question. One thing I do believe massively is experiment with, as I mentioned, commercial innovation, which is you might find that the same thing, the great subtitle of Alex Hormozi's book is Offers So Good, People Feel Stupid Saying No. And there are ways in which you can basically make something more or less irresistible. Okay. And there's some very, very interesting insights in that book, actually. I mean, one thing that interests me as a lead tool is this thing I mentioned last time, I think called meetmagic.org. Is that right? I must have mentioned them. And that's an Australian company which basically says we'll pay you $1,000 for a meeting. Now that's obviously corrupt. You can't do that. But it said if you're prepared to meet with us, we'll donate $1,000 in your name to any environmental charity. 10 we offer you. And it is clever because it is a kind of, you kind of go, well, it's £1,000 donation to a charity in exchange for an hour of my time. It's probably not going to be a waste of my time if they're prepared to pay $1,000 to talk to me, and also they're going to prepare properly because they're paying $1,000 for my time. So I think that's a genuinely important idea in getting small companies into big ones, because I made the terrible mistake once of copying the WPP IT director on some bump that had been sent to me by a small company. And he basically said, don't ever, in a nice way, he said, don't copy me on these things because they never rest. And I basically have, the IT director of a WPP, you just have an inbox which might have 1,000 things arriving a day from people who are just trying it on, So there